100 episodes in to the Your World Within daily podcast. Done some things, learned some stuff, and today I want to share that with you. Talk about the 10 lessons I've learned from 100 episodes. So 100 days of waking up and sharing my thoughts. It's been an incredible journey. It's been transformative, and man, it's just been a blast. And I thought I would take some of my learning, some of my experience, and distill it down for you guys, whether you're in the podcasting world or doing anything else. I think there will definitely be some overlap here and some things you can put in your back pocket and use for whatever it is you're doing. You know, I'm all about that. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Number one, what I've found is you have to enjoy it. Why? Because everything has a honeymoon phase. And I've seen this many times in my personal and professional life, you know, with the podcast, with Your World Within, you know, the YouTube channel, as well as the business I built around it. When I left my job to start creating, like there's this 2 weeks of just invincibility and excitement. And then as you scale and things become more routine and you know, you start to standardize what you're doing so that you can continue to create, things become monotonous. And that's when discipline comes in. That's when, you know, there are days when you don't feel, you know, you don't jump out of bed excited. You just down days. We all have them. But if it's purposeful, if you're immersed in it, if it means something to you, you can get beyond those low points. And, you know, even though they are few and far between, it's just reality. So when you love something and you really enjoy it, you're you know, again, entrenched in the outcome, it becomes easier to maintain over the long haul. So enjoy it. Number two is reps. This is an obvious one, but man, I can't tell you how incredible it's been every day to get up and talk into a microphone just for, you know, my ability. Like I just feel like a different person. Right? Like, so whether it comes to sitting down and just turning on live on Instagram or Facebook, which I couldn't do at one point, right? At least not like I can now. It's really, it's everything, right? I don't second guess what I'm saying. I trust my ability to articulate messages. It's like the Ryan Holiday thing. Confidence is earned, and it's earned by, you know, either literally or metaphorically turning on a mic and talking. You learn to trust yourself and you get better, and it pays dividends down the road. Number three is you can't please everybody. Now, this obviously applies to everything, but you see it everywhere, right? And the crazy thing, and I guess it makes sense, but I just find it's lunacy, right? That a small minority that might criticize would impact one's ability as a creator, one's desire to create. When it's like, what you should do is completely disregard the negative few, right? And focus on the majority that you're impacting, the majority that wants what you're providing and that's getting value from what you're talking about. I just think that's an important mindset. And it comes up here because it comes up everywhere. You know, there are... again, man, I forget the name of the bias, but it's like at a restaurant, you have 99 good meals, incredible meals, and then one time, you know, someone puts out a plate, there's a cockroach on it. You always remember that restaurant as the cockroach restaurant, right? Like our mind finds the negative, and it's like, don't. There's so much positive. You're doing so much good, and you have so much to give to the world. Focus on that. Number four, where can you get two for the price of one? Now, this has been incredible for podcasting. This is when the light bulb went off, and I've talked about it on a previous episode, but I pull it into everything now. Because what I started doing for the first 30 episodes-ish was I would just grab the mic and I'd talk into the mic and I'd upload the audio. It became routine, it became comfortable, and it was great. But those of you in the podcast world know that you can't really find podcasts on the podcasting app. Like it's possible, but I think it's the exception. People find out about podcasts on social media, on search engines like Google and YouTube. So it's like, well, how can I get some of that with minimal effort, right? And it's like, well, you're talking, so just turn a camera on. And you're doing the same thing, but now you have video you can upload as well. It takes, half hour longer. I just chop it up in Final Cut and I send it out. And it was an adjustment, right? It's different looking into a camera. But again, it's one of those great learning curve things where now I'm because it's weird. You're not a person it's a lens. So it is uncomfortable at first, but you get used to it and the impact can't be, it's just an incredible thing. So in life, see if you can find two for the price of one that's usually hidden there. There's always value that we walk right by. Number 5 is the importance in reading. So those of you who have been following the podcast know I'm an avid reader. For 9 months now, I've been doing a book a week, minus, give or take a few weeks. And it's changed my life. I don't know if I'll be able to sustain a week or a book a week forever, but I'll be roughly around there. And just the ideas and the anecdotes, the stories, it's like you see the world through the perspective of whatever book you're reading that week. And life's about perspective shifts. My biggest changes have come from slight tweaks in perspective. And so a podcast where I sit down and talk about that, not only is it different stories to share and ideas to pull from, but it's just been an incredible thing. There's an infinite wealth of knowledge out there, and I'd really advocate that. Whether it's a book a week, every 2 weeks, or a book a month, bring new perspectives into your life, and you'll see the value immediately. Number 6, you can learn something from everyone and everything, and I truly mean that. I've been doing this podcast, and I've learned a lot, but also been doing some stuff simultaneously, right? Some of you guys who follow my stuff know that I was also doing another podcast. I had a few different business initiatives, with some people that I'm crazy about, that I've learned a lot from. And some of it I realized wasn't for me. And that's fine. That's such an important part of life is, learning what to cut away is often just as important as learning what to acquire more of. And I think we need to understand that. It's not a loss to do something and be like, okay, I learned a lot, but because of what I know now, I'm going to pivot. That's definitionally a win. You're learning, you're growing, and you're experiencing. So remember that. You can learn from everyone and everything. You just got to be looking out for it. Number 7, find a way to be as efficient as possible without impacting quality. Well, there's a fine line, right? And it's important to find that middle ground. You want to be efficient because, again, it's very difficult to get your message out to the world without some type of standardization, right? You almost feel like you're drowning if you're not doing it, if you haven't found a process or procedure to get your stuff out there. Without that consistency, it's very hard to scale. And, successful businesses, successful podcasts, successful ventures, they require scalability. But you also don't want to be too efficient, where you lose the authenticity and the magic in what makes your product or gives your value to the world. So, find that intersection of efficiency and quality. I think that's where we want to live. Number 8, big picture and small. They are both important. And so what do I mean? Well, the growth of a podcast, you're looking at the macro and you want to make sure your numbers are going up, and you're patient and you're looking at the long game. But you also know that, each of these little episodes, they don't define the process, right? A great episode that does well, and I'm talking strictly numbers, doesn't mean the podcast is boom, successful. Just like one that does terrible or underperforms doesn't mean, boom, it's a failure, right? No, you learn from each episode what adds value, what people resonate with, and you need the losses just like the wins, right? Just like a war. A battle does not define the war. So, you can't get caught up in one. You have to learn from it and move on. But at the same time, the aggregate of those little battles become the outcome. So it's keeping your eye on the North Star while paying attention and analyzing to the steps so that if you need to change your direction, you can. So number 10, or number 9, I should say, the question that I've asked myself that so far, and I'll obviously let you know if that changes, but so far this hasn't steered me wrong, is I sit down and I ask myself, what do I need? What would I need right now as a creator, as an entrepreneur, as a podcaster, as a human being operating in the current world? What would I need to hear? What would reassure me? What would add value to my life? And I try and flip that, right? And project that out to my viewers and to you guys listening, because odds are if I feel that way, some of you do. And I think that the lesson learned there is that applies to everything we do, right? There's always some of that, particularly in business, but in relationships as well, right? I mean, the classic do unto others as you would have done to me, or I butchered that. But you know what I'm talking about. Treat others the way you want to be treated. And if you are operating under the premise of, for example, a post on Instagram, right? Would I enjoy this post? Or a product, do I need this product? Or a message, does this message resonate with me? That really impacts what I put out. Because if I don't care, my thought process, a lot of people won't care. And so it helps you stay focused with the authenticity and just being true to who you are. And the last thing here, powerful things are willed into existence. So this podcast in April started, and I was pretty big on this, on the message, we were going through this little microcosm of hell here with COVID, and things were shutting down, and, people were scared, and it was like, how can you find a win? How can I bring a positive to a situation that is not necessarily positive, right? And I started a podcast, and here we are 100 days in, and it's one of the best things I've ever done. Like, I just feel like I'm not the same person I was when I started. This was willed into existence, just like everything I've created, just like everything you've created, just like everything around you. And that reminder is so incredible that your vision can be brought to life. And just because it's not there yet doesn't mean it can't be or shouldn't be. It takes trust, self-trust, self-belief from you. It takes consistency from you. It takes discipline from you to carry that out. And, a podcast out of thin air is as simple as episode 1. And whatever it is you want to do in life, bringing your vision to reality is as simple as step 1. So that's just my reminder to you. Things are willed into existence. Start now. So those are my 10 lessons from 100 episodes of podcasting. And guys, I hope you got something from it. Hope it added some value to your lives. If it did, please rate, subscribe, and review. It helps me get this podcast out to the world, and that means everything to me. So I'm grateful for that, and I will catch you tomorrow.